And then I'll step back and start today with a little bit of a quick lecture here on just my attitude and philosophy and some things I think are important to understand about the program I'm going to try to teach you today, but also just things I've learned. And of course, like everything, you know, for every Brose, there's a Buck Brannaman or a trainer out there, you know, Clinton Anderson, or whoever your favorite person is who's forgotten more about this stuff than I do. But I figured out a few years ago that I'd accumulated enough knowledge, and maybe I articulated it or I did something a little different than the last three trainers that you learned from. And so I always find that it's better just to go ahead and try to communicate and educate folks, while at the same time being very humble that there are certain areas that I don't attempt to work in terms of special disciplines or unique characteristics of different kinds of sport horses that are, you know, cutting, reining, jumping, dressage. My basics and my approach is really fundamental to all breeds and all disciplines, all ages, really. As you'll see today, we're going to take these horses that are in all different levels, and we'll be trying to do the same exact stuff with each of them, but you'll see different personalities reacting to it. You'll see different ages, different types of horses. And that's the whole point, is this message today is really designed to be universal. It's really basically something that I believe everyone ought to use, especially with young horses, to build the foundation, as we just have begun to do with Little Red today, and I'll show you how that's coming. But also, if you have an older horse you buy or something begins to form in some kind of a relationship problem with your horse, these are the kind of things today we think will give you some tools and some philosophy to use to take to those situations. And as many of you know that I do private work with, you know, we can go out there and find a horse that's 10 or 15 years old and has really never been handled well, is difficult, and in pretty quick order we can turn that horse into something you can start to enjoy and feel safe on. And so for most of us, those are the goals we're looking for. We're not out winning shows every day, but we do want to be able to feel confident. We want our horse to enjoy it. We want to love the relationship, and we also want to feel safe on the trail or what have you, okay? So that's kind of what we're trying to do. And I want to start by just talking a little bit about, and I know that for some who've heard this many times or have been to a lot of programs or read and listened to you know, tapes on this stuff, that some of it's pretty obvious to many of you, and some of you have heard it before from me, but I want to make sure for everyone as we get into the day that we start from this foundation and we reiterate some of the basics. And so let's start with just the, you know, how this horse communicates with us and how we're going to change our mindset a little bit to become a better communicator with them. And, you know, it really starts completely with the prey animal concept. You know, if you're in a pack mode and you're hunting as wolves or dogs or others do, you've got one set of concepts and thought processes. But if you're on the feed side, you know, if you are a prey animal, like horses have been since they crawled out of the swamp, everything in your DNA is about safety and herd dynamics to secure your, you know, to sustain yourself, right? And if we don't understand what that means and how it plays out in the horse's behavior, then we're really kind of fighting a game with, you know, one arm tied behind her back or blinders on. And so it's amazing how when we make what I call kind of counterintuitive adjustments in our behavior with horses, and I'll give you some very concrete examples in a few minutes, it's amazing how the horse reacts much better to them because they're natural to him. And that's what this terminology of natural horseman really means, is how can we kind of figure out how this animal acts and then tap into that instead of absolutely always fighting against it or misunderstanding what's going through their mind, okay? And if